the latest. Thank you for all love and support. I appreciate you all. Shout out to Taja, our new member. I say thank you so much for the love you are showing to the channel and also helping the message to go far. So I want all of you to welcome him and also say thank you to him. Europeans are people that Africans we are so mad at simply because we believe that they are the reason to which Africa we are not moving forward. Ever since we came in contact with them, they have decided to put in measures to make sure that the African never rises, and these people never saw us as equal partners. But little to our surprise, European Union is voicing out against the massacre that happened in Tanzania, calling out Haji Hassan Suluhu and saying that the elections were neither free nor fair because the citizens decided that they were not going to vote because of what Haji Hassan Suluhu did by arresting her opponents and running basically against herself. And we're expecting the African Union will come out to do this and not European Union, but they decided to be silent to support themselves because they are there to watch over each other's back, like Julius Malema would say, it is a gentleman club. This organization called African Union was even quick in sending congratulations to Haji Hassan Suluhu, and its members are also sending congratulations to Haji Hassan Suluhu's 98% victory, which the whole world saw what happened, the injustice against the people in Tanzania.
Not aftermath after elections, but a national strategy. On 29th of October, President Samia Suluhu Hassan crowned herself with a victory of 97% of the votes after silencing the very people who challenged her. And when citizens rose up, especially the young, they were met with bullets, brutality, and a blockade on truth. Hundreds killed, hundreds injured, hundreds arrested, entire country living in fear. Let us say his name clearly. Tundu Lissu, the opposition leader charged with treason, locked away simply because he exercised his democratic right to run for elections. And his imprisonment is a broader assault on democracy in Tanzania that is taking away all the promises to the Tanzanian people of their freedom. And to the Tanzanian people, we have heard you. We are on your side. This House has chosen to stand by you. Thank you.
A teraz poprosím paní kolegyňu Vieira.
Thank you. Madam Vieira has the floor.
Dear Chair, dear colleagues, months ago I stood here calling on the authorities of Tanzania to release all political prisoners, and today that call is more urgent than ever. Tanzania is showing a deeply troubling pattern of repression and abuse. Critics, like opposition leaders, journalists, and activists, face threats, arbitrary arrests, extrajudicial killings, and forced disappearances. The government is shutting down free media and taking away people's basic rights to speak, gather, and move. Human rights defenders are in grave danger. The cases of Agathar Atuir and Boniface Mwangi, who came from Uganda and Kenya to observe the trial of Tundu Lissu, prove it. They were arrested and allegedly beaten and tortured by members of the army, and their story demands urgent accountability and justice. The October elections further exposed the scale of repression. Voters were denied a real choice, and security forces used deadly force against protesters. Today, I urge again the authorities in Tanzania to release Tundu Lissu and investigate disappearances of government critics, including that of Humphrey Polepole. Colleagues, we all care about human rights in Tanzania, so we need to do more. Beyond raising these issues at the highest level, the EU must also establish long-term support for human rights defenders and journalists, and ensure that our systems allow those most at risk to relocate and find legal pathways for asylum. Our actions, not only our words, must match the needs of the people of Tanzania. Thank you very much.
Ďakujem a teraz poprosím kolegu.
Thank you. Next speaker is Mr. McAllister.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, what happened before, during and after the elections in Tanzania was regrettably no surprise. This was not an irregularity, but the systematic destruction of democratic competition. These elections were marred by state-sponsored political repression, targeted abductions and manipulation. The outcome was decided well before the 29th of October. It began with the suffocation of civic space and the silencing of free media. It continued with the banning of political assemblies and opposition parties, and it became undeniable with the imprisonment of nearly every leading opposition representative, above all the leader of Chadema, Mr. Tundu Lissu. For nearly 250 days, my personal friend Tundu Lissu has endured solitary confinement, possibly facing a death sentence simply for demanding free and fair elections. But this is not just about one individual fate. This is the textbook example of how an authoritarian regime weaponizes the law to eliminate its opponents. On election day and the hours that followed, the regime showed its true colors when the internet was shut down, when protesters were beaten, shot, abducted and jailed. Madam Commissioner, I call on the European Commission and I call on the European External Action Service not to slip back into business as usual. I will spare you the diplomatic language used in recent statements, but the tone was certainly not as clear as it should have been. Tanzania's continued pivot from the rule of law, reform and good governance demands a genuine assessment of our bilateral relationship. Colleagues, if we truly stand for democracy and human rights, we cannot stop at words. Let us use every tool at our disposal to hold those in power accountable. Tomorrow, this House will send an unmistakable message. All EU funds channeled through state-controlled entities must be frozen immediately. The European Union must not use its fund to subsidize oppression. The time to act is now. All political prisoners must be released immediately and with no conditions. Urgently required is an independent and credible investigation into all killings, abductions and enforced disappearances. The great people of Tanzania, they deserve new, free and credible elections. Thank you, and free Tundu Lissu now.
Ďakujem pekne a nakoľko Madam Delapisa.
Thank you very much. Madame de la Pisa Carrion is not here, and so Mr. Uchen has the floor.
President, colleagues, what we are witnessing in Tanzania is not just the erosion of democracy. It's a systemic assault on the rights of citizens to speak, to protest, and to choose their representatives. The elections were neither free nor fair. Tanzanians took the streets peacefully. However, government responded with bullets and reportedly killed hundreds of civilians. At the center of this repression stands the case of Tundu Lissu, who survived an assassination attempt and is now imprisoned under treason charges simply for challenging a system that fears accountability. He is held in degrading and life-threatening conditions without proper access to legal counsel or medical care. We demand that he must be released immediately and unconditionally, along with all other detained for exercising basic political freedoms. And we call for strong and coordinated EU measures, including the suspension of direct financial support to the Tanzanian authorities. But beyond condemning, we must push for inclusive political dialogue, credible reforms and a genuine return to democratic governance where citizens' rights and freedoms are at the heart of the process. Only then Tanzania can be a good partner for the European Union. Thank you.
Ďakujem a teraz poprosím kolegu.
Thank you very much.
European Union is saying that they are standing with the people in Tanzania. African Union is a failed organization, and that is why we are saying that this organization, at least we need to just do away with the organization and start with AES, because when we need African Union to fight, this organization is always silent. It doesn't do things that will protect the interests of the people. The organization is made up of all the elected, democratic elected presidents, and None of them is ready to be free nor fair. So whenever anything happens to the African, because they know that they are all in the same shoe, they decide to protect their interests by supporting the person that is doing things against her citizens. If not, the whole world saw what happened in Tanzania. Look at the people that lost their lives. This woman made sure that the people who even came into Tanzania to observe the elections were taken out, both from African Union and the rest of the world. This woman never allowed anybody to come closer. Everything was done per what she wants and not what the constitution stated that she should do. This is a civilian coup, but African Union is so silent about it because this person is living under the system called democracy. They are only after the people that are not in the system where their masters have control over. Why will African Union be the one that will be silent over what happened in Tanzania? Not calling out Haji Hassan Suluhu. And we still have African leaders who claim they are leaders, saying they are happy with these elections that took place in Tanzania, where this woman practically ran against herself. We saw what she did to her opponents, charging them of treason and a whole lot of things, and also making sure that she silenced the voices of her own citizens that she claimed she is coming to lead. What kind of a leader will do this? And why will we have an organization like African Union that will be silent over this thing? And people outside of the continent will not be the ones that will rise up to fight for the people in Tanzania or in Africa. African Union always sit down to tell us that they are looking for African solutions to African problems. Yet when there is a problem in Africa that we expect these people to act, they are always silent. When William Ruto was interviewed and asked about this, he just couldn't say anything boldly. He only said this thing will never happen in Kenya. And this is how Africa, we always sit down to divide ourselves. And that is the reason to which we are not moving forward. Tanzania is part of Africa. And if Haji Hassan Suluhu has done something that is not good, we expect African leaders to look the woman in her eye to bring her to book, just like you are doing to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso leaders who are even doing the right thing that you, the democratic elected leaders, have refused to do. And they are still quiet till the time that another person is speaking against this. African Union is quiet. The leaders are quiet, only for European Union to voice out strongly against the things that this woman did in Africa. For how long must we sit down for these same people to be the ones to see the wrongs in our country or in the continent and call out? So what is the essence of the African Union? Do we still need this organization? We know this organization has failed us and is doing everything possible to prove to we the youth that it is not capable of anything. If not, why will EU Parliament be angry over something that is happening in Africa that we need the African Union to speak, but remain silent? We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Europe.